Good afternoon. Wow. First of all, what a weekend. We got Juneteenth. We have Father's Day. Plus, hopefully, you're going to get some business. It's just an amazing thing. But we have that hovering little issue in life called inflation. And that crazy thing the Federal Reserve did for the first time in almost a lifetime is to raise 2 sessions in a row at least a half or more in basis points, with another scheduled for another 6 weeks and a few more scheduled. Months and months ago, we had a session here and I looked at 5 to 8 increases. I thought there would be 5. Many people predicted 8. Looks like 5 could be the minimum before we get through this, but they're surely trying to dry this money supply up. So I thought today we take a step back, because step back oftentimes is a setup for a step up. I think that's a powerful concept. A step back is sometimes a setup for a step up. So I think it's time that we look at this in a little different way, and we're going to try our best, and hopefully you will agree that we come up with some great ideas related to how we can make this work for our clients and for ourselves as investors, because there is no more powerful time to be buying property at times like this, forgetting the interest rate. And in Wayne's world, I firmly believe, and I've said this almost every time we've been together, it's not the interest rate, it's the loan balance. We've had several of our weekly sessions trying to find ways to accelerate the payoff to bring a lower loan balance between the HELOC, between the biweekly mortgage, between paying extra principal, between paying a second amortization principal each month to get the loan in half. Loads of ways. I'm not here to go through all those, but we might identify some of those again because it's more important than anything else. Most importantly, I wanted to give you some ideas and maybe 7 things I felt are critical since the Fed just raised rates a day or 2 ago. So we're going to go through those 7. I'll put them all on the screen at once in case you want to take a screenshot or you want to make some notes to yourself while I'm talking. With that perspective said, we have to realize that you have to be very competent, confident, and natural when clients ask you these kind of questions. Because sometimes they know that they know that they know, but they learned it in the wrong way. Sometimes you know that you know that you know, but you learned it in a wrong way. Many agents, many clients ask, I wonder why, what's happening, what caused this? Or I heard that. Or they have this burning question. And maybe you can help clear those things up by just listening today, taking some notes, and then following up after I'm done with a trusted source, good lender, good mortgage broker, somebody who can keep you abreast of some of these issues that we are facing over the next, looks like, several months. We're hearing words about recession. We're hearing words about stopping recession. We're hearing words of all kind that impact the way people make decisions. And some people are rightfully looking at this in a doom and gloom situation. Other people are looking at this rightfully as an opportunity. One more time. No matter what our cycle is, inflation, recession, it doesn't make a difference. Wealth will always transfer from one group of people to another group of people. The goal for you, for your clients, is to learn how to be the transferee, the receiver of the wealth, versus the transferor, the loser of the wealth. Because in both cycles, we're in inflation right now, we may be in a recession. We've had the first beginnings of what's called a bull market in the stock market, more than a 20% decline in prices. It was 21% a few days ago, 20% decline, 21% decline in the Dow Jones. That creates what's called the bull market. I don't worry about stocks in my personal plan. If you have stocks in your personal plan, you're more sensitive to those things than I am. I'm looking at my ideal investment, which is real estate, and hopefully it becomes your ideal investment. The sooner, the better, because the sooner you buy real estate as an investment, the longer you can enjoy it. And as soon as you can find your clients interested in buying real estate investments, the longer they can enjoy it, and the more commission you make. With that said, you need to feel comfortable yourself looking at what's happening these days and what do you know that you know that you know, and what do you wonder? What can you find out by Google searching, by reading articles, by subscribing to newsletters? And what did you hear that may or may not be true? And how can you correct it? And then what are your burning questions? So looking at that, here's what I thought and I reflected on are the biggest issues since the Fed increased rates this week. First of all, it's not likely to be transitory. We're going to see fluctuations up or down in small amounts, but not a big push downward, maybe not a huge rise forward. Once again, many people perceive all these raises affect 30-year mortgage rates almost immediately. They do not. The people burdened the most are HELOCs, auto loans, furniture loans, adjustable loans. That's the immediate problem. We don't see, and sometimes many lenders already have factored in some of their rate situations. But yes, it's not going down, it's going up. But it won't be a big push either way, it seems, from my perspective. And so we're going from the upper 5% to the upper 6% range. That's still very competitive. You can go online and do a search of interest rates back from before 1980 in the 70s all the way through, and you'll see the pattern. It's not that bad. It's fluctuated. In the 80s is when we had our real tough times. In the mid 80s, we started to see things come down. I mean, we were still dealing with 12% in the 80s for interest rates. So we're even half of that. So please, 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 for your own sake and for your client's sake, let them realize this is still competitive, and find ways for them and find ways for yourself if you have loans to bring down the principal as fast as you can. In Wayne's world, borrow as much as you can all the time and pay it off as fast as you can all the time. And that's all we need to do is accelerate the way people pay down their loans. And we'll talk more about that in a few moments. But realize these rates are higher than they were. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, we were at 3%. Well, that's over. But, you know, in a year from now, or a year and a half from now, maybe when we're back down to 3, people say, oh, we were at 6. Man, this is really great. Just like we did many years ago. You probably know people or yourself who were so glad to see single-digit interest rates in their lives. I can remember many, many agents in my early career never believed we'd get out of the teens. Never believed we'd get out of the teens. Then we got into the 12s and the 11s and 10s. They never believed we'd get into the single digits. And people, we have been spoiled. If you track the interest rates over the last few years, many years, they've been almost so low, it's unbelievable. So money has been so cheap, we just got used to it. And now we're seeing a blip. But again, wealth is going to transfer. So that's the second thing, to realize that we're not that bad if you look at it. And a difference of 1 or 2 or 3% in a loan amount is, yes, more money, but it can be managed. I'm going to give you some statistics in a few moments. The key point that I wanted to stress is number 3. The buyer pool is going to shrink for same priced properties. It could open up for more lower priced properties because some people who could afford this much back in January, February, March can only afford this much. And there's loads of data out there what the difference in interest rates causes to the buying power. We've stressed it several times. I will repeat once again to remind you that every 1% interest rates go down, a borrower loses about 11% of their buying power. That's a rough rule of thumb. So that does make a difference. On the other hand, as a negotiation trainer, as a master negotiation certified expert, I stress the fact that you've got to make the pie bigger. Look for other opportunities. Find other ways to pay off the loan quicker. Help your clients beyond just getting a loan, going to a closing and say goodbye and a periodic keep in touch with these people. The more you're in touch with these people the next 6 months, the more they're going to remember you because you've given them some great ideas. Share things like this. I don't care. Just share this entire picture. Retype it in your own words and make it yours. Somehow stay in touch to let people see you're aware of what's happening. This is current. I pull these 7 just from the Fed's increase since we talked last week in the process. But people still need housing, so there will be people buying and selling real estate. Some people will be losing money. You can take advantage. They are transferring their wealth to you. Some people will get higher prices because we have multiple offers and a lot of issues where people are willing to pay more money. Those people will benefit. The cycle always works. This is a very, very, very simple system, the money supply. It just ain't easy. Everything we do is supply and demand. This whole business of ours is supply and demand. With that said, we can find that many people, as I put down in point number 4, many people are fatigued from all the bidding and offers they lost and people doing all kinds of things that may not be in their long-term best interest if something happens. But see, waiving an appraisal, not using a licensed inspector, just bringing some friends out, and maybe having to not search for the best interest rates or the ability to refinance. Those are all factors that cause people to get themselves into situations they shouldn't be. And obviously, ignorance is bliss. It's no excuse. So because we're looking at all these things, it could be a problem. What are the downsides of not having an appraisal? What are the downsides of not having an inspection? Maybe nothing. I guess the simple phrase to remember as people are making some very, very interesting decisions just to get a house is nothing ever happens until something happens. If it goes smoothly, it's fine. Cash offer, no inspection, no appraisal, blah, 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 blah. Beautiful house, everything works. I put a home warranty on it, so I'm covered. Case closed. Which brings up a point. Seems like not one individual buyer, unless it's a brand new home, should be closing on a home without a home warranty. I just was helping some people look for some home warranty companies. And in looking at one of the newer companies out there, I noticed that they had some of the new types of heating and cooling devices, the split systems that people are putting room into room into room. And this one warranty company I found covers that. They cover the split mini systems because many people are now putting a unit in each room or each couple of rooms. Mitsubishi is one of the bigger manufacturers, it seems, and advertisers of that. This particular warranty company covers that, but they don't cover some other things. But I am totally focused, sold, and love home warranties on my personal home and all my income properties that are 2 units or under. Financially and cost effectiveness wise, 3, 4 unit, 6 unit doesn't make financial sense. But up to a 2, it's a no-brainer. But again, all these things are coming in. And look what I just said to you in parentheses. This is where your care, your concern, and your advisor skills got to be sharpened. You know, I use caring a lot of ways. In real estate, for me, and hopefully for you, caring about what others care about is what caring is all about. And this is the greatest time in the world to show that you care. Show that you have a concern. Show them some ways in which they can bring down their principal very fast. Go back and look at our programs from a couple of weeks ago, using the home equity line of credit as a first mortgage. And play that game. That credit card we looked at that allows you to have a credit card and a HELOC in the back and no first mortgage. Those are strategies. The biweekly mortgage. There's all kinds of ways of doing to show your concern and analysis for them. When we did the Win with ACEs seminar a few sessions ago, I encouraged any real estate agent to move all their first mortgage loans on their homes into their income properties to get better tax benefits, to eliminate interest on Schedule A and move it to Schedule E, because you win with ACEs, ACES. Go back and look at that one. The bottom line is you need to show you care. And people in this business, the long-term successful realtors are those people who understand one simple concept. Buyers and sellers do not care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. So if you've been caring, kick it up a notch. If you haven't been caring, just go all out and make that a highest priority item with every single person you have. Because you need to sharpen those skills. You got to do things like I just did to get something like this ready since the Fed just met. Or if nothing else, use what I just gave you and make it yours. Change a few words, add more to it, give them one a week and talk about it in a podcast or TikTok. I don't care what you do. Find some way to show them you're the go-to person. Your goal in this marketplace is for all the people you've been talking to, clients or contacts, to think of you as my realtor during an inflationary period. Because most of them haven't seen this kind of inflation as homeowners. Number 5, first-time home buyers are going to be squeezed. The ratios are pretty high. I just talked to a lender that sponsored one of our Lunch and Learn seminars yesterday. They will go up to 49% for front and back end. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and long-term debt. The loan officer does not recommend it, but it's available. It's a pretty big decision to make, to take nearly half of what you bring in and use it for housing and long-term debt. So we're going to see home buyers be squeezed. We're going to have low inventory, strong investor buying members. The numbers from investors buying is going to increase. I'm getting more and more calls right now because people are searching address. Do you want to sell your property? We're interested in buying your property. We have many companies in my market area offering to buy houses. No inspection, cash in a few days. We'll take care of all the repairs. We'll pay all the fees. Just sell us your house so we can get into the marketplace. And we have those foreign investors buying up houses left and right in the thousands to rent out. So we're going to see that there are strong investor buying numbers. Maybe that's a resource to find some new clients. Just as many of you had your best years during COVID. Maybe there's going to be a best year during this inflationary time with high interest rates. But a bigger chunk of monthly income is going to have to go to their mortgage payments due to interest rates, at least for the short term. And then maybe we should be looking at the refinance plan down the road. Because at every interest rate start for many mortgage holders, they find at some point it may make sense refinancing. I had lunch yesterday with a very special person in my life who bought a home when interest rates were pretty low, under 4%, and then caught the best lowest rate about 7-8 months ago and was able to turn that roughly 3.9 rate down to under 2%. Hit the mark at the right time. Went from that to that, but she thought 4 was high or near 4 was high when she bought the house, and it might have been, but she got in the house. But now at under 2%, everything she thought she paid more than she should, she's now way ahead by paying less than she ever dreamed she could. You gotta watch the market. That's part of your job. And working with lenders makes it easier. So again, first-time home buyers are going to be squeezed. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that there's going to be a bigger chunk. How big of a chunk? Well, obviously, this loan officer said his company is now moving things up to 49%, and they're keeping the loans in their portfolio, not reselling them. So there are opportunities. Number 6. Obviously, we're going to see more renters, which means that maybe many of your homeowners who aren't ready to move, don't want to move, but have built up some equity, might be thinking about looking for a home that they can convert into a single family rental. Single family rentals in this low interest market we had for so long made it almost a positive cash flow in some cases with prices. Now that might not be possible as prices are rising, but where are some good homes you could buy as part of the 2 in Wayne's World you should be buying every year? There should be no reason why you don't get your 2 the sooner the better, because we see there's going to be renters for a long time and they're paying high rents in almost every market. In every market. It is amazing. You can see that, I'm sure, in your market. I can see it in my Illinois market. I can see in my personal properties what kind of rent increases I made since last February. Because that's when it started for me to see the fact that I can raise my rents, and if I can lower my expenses, my net income looks better, my cap rate looks better. Man, it's a win-win for me. But unfortunately, somebody had to transfer their wealth, and those are my tenants. But people, that's the real world of investing. So more renters create rent increases. That's what we'll see. And again, we have a shortage of housing. So maybe the clients you have that are sitting on equity realize, or maybe you can help them realize, that equity is kind of an ego trip in times like this. We should buy an income property. We should buy that house down the street or that one around the corner. But above all, don't forget who number 1 is, you. Why don't you get your 2 out of the way first? Then you can feel comfortable and prove you're serious, because you're not only talking a good game, you put your cards on the table. Talk is cheap. I bought 2 this year, Mr. and Mrs. Past clients. You should be buying some income property. Look what I did. You liked and trusted me to let me be your agent. Now, like and trust me to help you build some wealth with real estate in an inflationary period of time. And there's probably not one article you can find that says any hard asset, gold, silver, diamonds, food storage, and real estate aren't the best things to have in an inflationary period of time. And you know my bias, and I hope it's your bias. Real estate is the ideal investment. Not the best investment, the ideal investment. And we'll talk about, before we close today, once again to remind you why it is the ideal investment. Number 7, it's great. It's great to be a landlord in today's market. A lot of good options. You could exit in 5, 10, or more years with a lot of equity in your pocket. You could stay a landlord and receive increased rents. You could sleep knowing that you have created more and more passive income. And each day, each month, you bring down that loan balance, you're building up equity. So take through some of the ideas. Buy that income property, use a HELOC as a first mortgage on it, pay all your bills, put all your commissions, all your rent in there, and watch what happens and how fast you will have equity built up and pay that income property down. And you've got tenants who maybe when the time comes can move out as home buyers, and it's a win, win, win. Win for you, win for them, win for another tenant who can come in. You can sleep well knowing that your asset base is not in the marketplace that fluctuates. I believe in real estate, you can get rich slowly. And if you want to give it a shot with more risk, you can get rich quickly. And that's how some flippers have done. But there's different tax benefits. Don't forget, short-term capital gains is treated differently than long-term capital gains. So a person flipping is got to factor all those things in. Obviously, if you can flip them fast, they'll get rented quick because we have a shortage of renters. So this is an ideal time if you want to think about your first flip as one of your 2. Because once it's done, I had a roof put on my house 2 years, one of my properties 2 years ago. There were 13 people on site for a day. One guy's bringing shingles, loading them. Another guy is bringing the next load in. They're putting them up, and somebody's grabbing a section. Everybody's like a well-oiled machine. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, they came. By 6 o'clock at night, it's like nothing happened in my yard except there's a brand new roof on top. Trucks are gone, places cleaned up. and I got a shiny new roof. Didn't want two roofers working there for a week. One day. There's a lot to be said about today's market allowing you to buy something you can fix up fast. See, the key is fast fix up. Not a project for one person to spend months on with holding costs and everything else. Get a group in, get two groups in, get people in to do it quick. Pull together those resources of people that you can use. Or if you already have a team, let them get in there. Because this is going to be the greatest time that I've seen to get into a flip as an investment, fix it fast, rent it quick. Because as you see there, we are going to have a shortage of housing in rental, especially. And we can see that by some of the occupancy rates in the weekly and monthly hotels and motels that rent out that way. I've got a little bitty motel complex near me, and it's basically filled on weekly rentals with people going through transitions. Helped an agent friend of mine sell her home and take a high price for it, and she's going to rent for a while as she transitions. And she's buying income property with the proceeds, but renting for a while herself. A lot of opportunities, people. A lot of opportunities. And again, it's great to be a landlord in today's market. So, bottom line, it's a complex time out there, no doubt. So think it through. Don't rush into anything, but do what I call the Ben Franklin close. Look at your income, look at your investment opportunity in a certain property, look at the numbers, look at the cost of remodeling, repairing, where can you get your stuff. We've got a Habitat for Humanity program called Restore, several stores in the Chicagoland area. They got tremendous materials to put into a rental rehab at a relatively low price. You don't need to buy brand new. A lot of beautiful stuff that, in fact, some people will use it in their own personal residences. There's good stuff. It's been taken out of other homes. It's been bought in quantity and somebody bought up an inventory, but it's called Restore in our area. You may have some type of place like that recycles or reuses many items that can be used in a rehab or just an upgrade in your own house in the process. But don't be guided by emotion on this thing, but facts and an analysis, a strong, cogent analysis. See, in residential housing, the typical buyer buys on emotion and justifies rationally. It's called emotional rational logic. Well, we're at a time now where you've got to be buying more rationally and not using as many emotions. It's kind of like in my real estate investments. I did a seminar last night, and I mentioned when I first started buying investment property, I thought tenants liked nice stuff. So I put in some nice wool carpeting in some of the houses, and the tenants stayed there for 1 or 2 years, and then they moved. That's fine. Stuff happens. So now the house is vacant. I get the carpets clean. You can see a walking traffic pattern. You can see where the indentations are in from their bedroom and their dresser. So the new person coming in says, I love this place, but can you give me new carpet? I said, what? New carpet? This is 100% wool. Look what this stuff costs per yard. Well, I know, but look there's this traffic pattern and we don't have that. There's these marks from the floor and there's this big thing where this dresser or something was. So then I realized tenants don't want nice, they want new. So for years, I spent more money on the pad than the carpet. I'd buy carpet by the roll to get a huge discount, a full roll, a lot of carpet, store it, and just tear off pieces we needed. So we pretty much had a carpet that was kind of like some Italian restaurants where they put white paper over the tablecloth. So when you leave, they just lift up the paper and don't have to keep laundering tablecloths. I had tear off, throwaway carpet. Every tenant got new carpet. Smelled good, looked good, no marks. I had several different colors they could pick from, basic colors. They liked new, not real good. Plus, a good pad makes something that's not as expensive as carpet feel so much better on your feet in the process. So think rationally for the next 6 to 8 months. Don't think emotionally. And that's the biggest problem as I started this conversation. When we hear these stories online, and we hear some interesting stories online. So with that said, I pulled up something off the news right after the Fed increase. Let me find it for you, but it relates to the fact of what's happened to interest rates. And it put something in perspective that I thought would be worth sharing. It basically said, we know interest rates have risen since January. We know they've messed up a lot of people. We know there are some issues with people not being able to buy as much as they could. But for all practical purposes, what really happened? So they used an example of rising interest rates with a $1,517 monthly payment. This came from ABC News the day after the Fed raised rates. It was on their news broadcasts. And they showed how much buying power you lost in the price of buying a home for the same $1,517. So that looked pretty dramatic. They made it look like, oh, gloom and doom. Instead of buying a $450,000 house, you got to buy much less. But I looked at what the difference was in dollars, and it was around $15 a day. So even though we had all this stuff happening from 3% to 6%, because that's what's happened since January, we had 3% rates in January. We have 6% rates today. I flew out of O'Hare last night and realized that one of the lenders has a flashing sign. They change prices like gas stations do with digital stuff. And I remember when it was 3%, it was 5.89 as I was driving to the airport, roughly 6%. So they're right. But then I said, okay, $15 more a day. Now let's think, is that easy? No. But what could you do in your life to change $15 a day out of it? Maybe only half of it, $7.50, maybe 10 of it, by changing your buying habits, things you do differently. So for right now, during the short run, yeah, a little pain. But as you well know, if you are an athlete, if you are an exerciser, no pain, no gain. So we got a little pain right now. But what's going to happen a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, when you were able to get into that house, even though you didn't like paying 6% because somebody paid 3%, that's the drawback of waiting. And there's another point I think you have to put together, a very logical, non-emotional understanding of people when they work with you. What are the drawbacks to waiting? And all you can say today is January was 3, June was 6, what's going to be August? We never know, but there's more than just the interest rate as the drawbacks to waiting. Could be taxes, could be insurance, could be other factors. The point very simply is, even though it sounded so bad the day after, with you can't buy this much house and this, that, the bottom line was it was about $15 a day difference. It cost more. Okay, that's $450. I understand that. But if I can knock out 10 by just limiting waste in my life, doing different things, maybe it takes a little longer to get to work if I live in a city where there's good transportation. In Chicagoland area, we have very good transportation with public trains and vehicles. Our metro system in Chicago gave everybody a beautiful opportunity. They're trying to increase ridership. A $100 unlimited monthly pass. All the way. And people as far as Kenosha, Wisconsin, driving into the city using the metro train, or people as far as South Bend, Indiana, coming in on the South Shore, can get a 1 month unlimited pass for $100. You can hardly find a tank of gas for $100. They got a whole month of travel, typically 22 work days and weekends. Wow, maybe it's worth an extra hour out of my life to get to and from the train station, to be able to have a $100 flat fee to travel to work for the whole month. No parking costs, no potential frustration with traffic and all those other factors. Now, maybe your area has some of those opportunities too, but man, I thought that was great in the process. So we've got a lot of opportunities. And once again, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's only as bad as you make it. but it will go through some changes. We go through the ups and downs, and the wealth's going to transfer. It always does, always have been, always will be. You're always going to see this. It's almost like a vicious circle. And now we're at a different point in the circle than we were 3 months ago. But a year from now, who knows? But in the meantime, the drawbacks of waiting can be costly. More costly than not doing something now and, quote, biting that bullet, so to speak, in the process. So in Wayne's World of Wealth Building, the goal is to run out a month before you run out of money. With this change that we have to make in finding ways to cut costs, we may have to stretch some things. We have to change our way of eating, our way of driving, our way of energy. I think in my market area, Commonwealth Edison tells us for every 1 degree, we want our air conditioning above 73. It costs us 3% in fuel. I mean, lower than 73, it costs us 3% in fuel costs. So if I want to go to 75 instead of 73, I can save 6%. If I want to go to 80 with some fans on, that's 21%. That could be the $15 in some people with air conditioning costs. We may have to change some other factors, maybe less of this and less of that, but at least we're building it into an asset that's going to grow in value, the real estate. Now, once again, if you're too much of a non-real estate investor, you're missing my point. But again, maybe it's gold, maybe it's silver, maybe it's diamonds, precious metals, or food storage. But even food storage, I'm looking at things I'm glad I stocked up on. And on some, I wish I would have stocked up on more, because now I go back to buy that same stuff and it's blowing me away what I have to pay for it this time. Whether it was batteries, whether it was food, whether it was paper products. In fact, in this marketplace, when I say food storage, I mean paper towels, toilet paper, and Pepsi. You can use Coke if you want. PTP. PTP is my thought process when I say gold, silver, diamonds, real estate, and food storage. Paper towels, toilet paper, and Pepsi. Any other non-perishable item. See, Pepsi can stay on a shelf life for a year. Many other items that you eat have long shelf lives. I saw some cereal advertised with a coupon at the local grocery store. You could buy up to 5, $1.50 a box. It's normally either at the lowest $2.19 and sometimes as high as $3. So $1.50, those 5 boxes would last. You could buy 10 boxes and it would last you without spoiling because the shelf life is so long. So paper towels, toilet paper, and Pepsi. That's what I mean by food storage. A non-perishable food item, paper towels, and toilet paper. Buying them on sale, buying them during discount times. Again, please make it a goal to run out a month before you run out of money. Then you're on the same page as I am in future financial freedom. So we're not going to cover all of these, but I want to hit on a few of these to just talk about. And obviously, the foundation of real estate investing is pretty much based on supply and demand. And that's our issue right now. But we do want to take a few moments to remind you that we're in inflation and we are in recession, and we talked about wealth transfer. Nothing else I can say about that. I covered that. But here, the opportunity cost of holding money is where I get into this equity versus ego. People holding on to equity in their home and not using it are earning 0%. People holding on to cash, and as some of my friends say, cash is trash. Now, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but I say equity is an ego trip, and that sounds kind of harsh. Yes, they're both safe, but realize by being safe, you're losing money in the long run. Oh, you're safe in the short run. And we have loads of people just in the last year, in the last 6 months, that held on to money, and now that money's not worth as much because it cost a lot more to buy those same things. So they're doing exactly what the Fed is trying to solve a problem on. They're going to cut back by buying securities and making people take money out of the system. They're going to end up telling the banks to have a higher required reserve ratio. We see what they've done with their 6-week Open market work raised 0.5 and 0.75 the last 2 times, plus 0.25 the first time since this started, the beginning of the year. When they started this thought about 5 to 8 increases, and they're on number 3, with number 4 sounding like it's not going to be much better, but we'll know, maybe something will change. But you've got to listen to things, and you got to listen to many sides. Just like some of you watch one TV channel for news that's got a bias towards one political arena, and somebody else watches another TV station, and they got a different political arena. And it sounds like they got 2 different answers for the exact same issue, and they do in their own way, because somebody can move numbers around. So I can make it sound worse than it is or better than it is. My goal is to make it sound real as it is. So as I'm saying, somebody right now needs about $15 a day more if they buy somewhere around a $450,000 house. If they buy less, her house is not as bad. That's with doing nothing. By shading some of that, we see the difference. So equity is an ego trip, and holding on to money right now is not a good thing. Take a moment, go back and read the hyperinflation in Germany in the 1920s, and you'll see what I'm saying. So, because I am focused like a laser beam on you investing and teaching others to invest, because once you become a real estate investor, you've created an aura about yourself that people like and trust more because you are doing it. See, I'm not impressed when I go to look at a car dealership for a car I want, and the person who is selling me the car drives a different one. When I go into an appliance store to buy a TV, I always ask, what kind of TV do you have? What brand? I don't care what size, what brand? Why do you have LG over Zenith, over Sony, over the Creative Life, over some other ones? What makes you buy those? You're the one that knows all about TVs. What vacuum cleaner do you own? I got to buy a vacuum. What do you have? And so the bottom line is we have much more credibility if we have some ownership and interest in the stuff. So start to think seriously. Get your 2 this year. Get 1 very soon. You can always refinance. There's a lot of potential out there. There's still a lot of money available. And it's not always at the high rate you think it is. But the bottom line is inflation and unemployment will be a trade-off. We're already hearing this story. We're hearing that because the Fed is cutting back to control inflation, you can expect high unemployment. Now, that is a true statement. That's called the Phillips curve, if you want to read economics theory, macroeconomics. So you want more inflation, lower unemployment. What do we have? We have low unemployment. I think we're at 3%, but we have high inflation. So if we want to bring down inflation, we're going to have unemployment. So I would hate to see 10% unemployment, because what that means is 1 out of every 10 people are not working. But it also means 9 out of 10 people are going to be better off. That's the inflation unemployment trade-off. Which way do you want to go? Now, obviously, we are in a career path that says we're very fortunate. We don't have to worry too much about getting laid off. We write our own paychecks. Somebody else signs them. Some of you have done better since COVID started than any 2 years in your life. And some of you could have done better, but for some reason you didn't. But the market sure proved that. And the people I coach sure showed me that with their production in 2021 when we kind of did the end of the year summary. So we have a situation that creates this trade-off. So I want to close with reminding you about the 5 reasons why people do not build wealth. First of all, it didn't occur to them. No awareness. Just as many reasons why people don't pay off their mortgages as fast until we talked about the biweekly mortgage, about using the HELOC as a first mortgage and a checking account. It didn't occur to them. So many ahas, as I call them, I've shared over the weeks we've been together. If this is your first time, I'm hoping you saw some ahas, even the 7 things I put up earlier that I felt were critical since the Fed just raised rates. And I hope they agree, or at least they follow the same path of people you are reading. But if you're reading somebody that's saying the exact opposite of what I said, then maybe you should send me a quick email at wayne@waynepaprocky.com. Say, hey, this particular person said that. Dave Ramsey said this. This financial advisor said that. This real estate guru said this. I'd like to know where they're coming from. I'd love to read their material. Because again, many people get emotional information out that doesn't make sense rationally. Just like some of the news articles we talked about in terms of what's happened since the Fed raised rates. It's not good, but it's not that bad. A step back is a setup for a step up. So take a step back. That's what today was all about. An update. But once people know they should do something, it occurs to them, then the second problem is they didn't decide to do it. Some agent, maybe you, told some buyer months ago, you got to buy this. Nah, let's look around. And now they're probably, gosh, I should have listened to my agent. And you can't tell them that and throw it in their face, but you need to show them the drawbacks to waiting. You need to spend some time looking at what was 2 months ago and what's not today, and use that as a tool for the drawbacks to waiting. You need it for buyers and you need it for sellers. It's a very powerful mindset and concept that you can put down on paper with actual numbers. So, didn't occur to you, and you decide to do it. Wow. Now, some people decide to do it, but they put it off. They put it off. They procrastinate. They knew what they should have done, but they didn't do it. A lot of people want to lose 5 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 pounds by the end of June. They started June 1st because they want to be out in the pool on July 4th, and they feel if they lose 5 to 8 pounds, I'll feel better, look better, and I'll fit in my suit. And today is pretty close to 2/3 of the month gone, and they didn't start. Oh, they got 10, 12 more days, no problem. And then somebody by the 27th of the month didn't start. Well, they got 3 days. And then what happens? They're out in July with the same 6 to 8 pounds on their body they wanted to lose. That's just an example. Always happens. People procrastinate. Hey, I've been telling you every week we've met it being on this call to buy 2 properties a year. Every time I talk to a group of people and I see them again, I saw some people yesterday I didn't see for a month in a lunch and learn. Did they buy? Nope. They're going to get there. They're going to do it though. See, they procrastinate. They know they should. They want to, but for some reason, they can't give themselves a kick. See, I can't give you a kick in the butt. You got to kick your own butt after you leave me. I can't do that. I know what you should do. I know what I want you to do. I know what you will benefit from, but you still have to be that because you cannot do somebody else's goals. They have to be yours. A goal has to be specific, obtainable, written down to a year, something you want, not something somebody wants for you. I want you to buy at least 2. You don't want to buy 2? I can't force you to. In the same respect, if you want to look at this opportunity to learn about inflation and an upcoming recession, you can start reading. You can start looking 15, 20 minutes a day. You learn a lot. You have to make that decision. I cannot make it for you. Once you quit procrastinating and start doing things, and this is also one of the reasons why some people are going to have a hard time adjusting to higher interest rates, they can't delay instant gratification. That's a killer. It's so easy to go in and buy some furniture, no money down, no payments for 6 weeks, no payments, not paid in full for 6 years, all kinds of opportunities, people inciting you with sales and discounts. And is it a need or a want? We can't delay instant gratification. That's what's causing the many first-time home buyers to not be able to qualify because that 8% back-end debt ratio and the 28 to 36 typical ratio, they can't make because they got more than 8% of their income in debt. They bought a lot of stuff on a monthly payment. I can have it now for only so much a month, but it's a lot of months. But I can have it right now for so much a month. So I committed to this and this and this. And now I got lots of stuff, but I got a lot of bad debt, because stuff that loses value that you buy is bad debt. So the best advice I can have you share with your clients and yourself is, starting now until we get through this and see the end of the tunnel of this inflation, you should never buy anything that's going to go down in value and use it in a debt situation. You've got to only be spending money on good debt for the next, maybe the rest of the year. And that's going to help a lot. So take a look at your own personal life. What are you spending money on that's going down in value? What are you doing that's going down in value? Because that's a bad debt expenditure. Never borrow money on something that's going to go down in value. I don't need that new, whatever it is. It goes down in value. I can use the old patio set one more year. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Yeah, it's got a couple of marks on it. Yeah, it's got rust in the corner. But you know what? I can use that money to pay down my mortgage or buy something else I need to survive on. So what are you doing to avoid bad debt? No new mortgage, no new patio furniture this year. Your choice. So we went through all those things. We went through them in such a way that they make some sense to me, but hopefully make some sense to you. So I got a couple of slides I want to slide through and then finish up with. We just finished the 5 reasons why people don't build wealth. Didn't occur to them, didn't decide to do it, put it off, and then didn't delay instant gratification. The last one is they did not understand the time perspective. This inflationary period is going to go away. Inflation always goes up and down, inflation, recession. All we don't know is how long and how bad. The Fed is telling us this time for the first time, please listen to Powell. They're doing these rates so fast. Rather than 0.25 over 5 periods, they're doing 0.5, 0.75 real fast. They want to cut this baby at the head real quick to shorten the time frame of the inflation. So the time perspective the Fed is telling us, for me at least, sharing with you, this is the first time they've attempted to really move to cut inflation that quickly. Back in 2004, 2006, they made 17 small 0.25 price increases every time they met. 17 in a row. Those who don't understand history are bound to repeat it. You can go back and look at that. They did in 2 sessions the same one, that same 0.75. In 1 session and 0.5 the previous time they met. So instead of 5 6-week increases slowly, they did 2 in 2 sessions. So their message is, we are trying to make this time perspective much shorter. That's a good piece of information, even though it's very hard to take right now. But it's a fact of life. So in conclusion, 2 houses a year for yourself. And hopefully find some of your sellers who have equity and have them think about the possibility of what could happen with 2 income properties. 2 more sales for you. In fact, find 1 client that will buy 2 and you buy 2. Now you got 4 deals this year. You can play with those numbers all day long. All day long. So with that said, I hope we gave you some tips, some things to think about as you celebrate Father's Day, either in memory of your father or you'll see your father live and have a chance to spend some quality time with him. Realize we got Juneteenth. Many celebrations started today. Many are on Monday, and there's even a few on Tuesday, and some are on Sunday. I'm hoping to be able to have a nice celebration. So real estate's the ideal investment and exit strategy. And why is that? We'll talk about that the next session. It's got 5 components. With that said, for those of you that are looking in Illinois and some other states for some CE credit and a certified negotiation expert designation, I'm doing a Zoom class on the 28th and 29th. Illinois agents get 8 hours of CE credit. Many states can take it. If you're registering through another state, I'll need to know what state you're registering from. I know Texas has CE, Iowa has CE, some other states. Wisconsin does not have CE for any kind of courses like this, but you still would have the certified negotiation expert designation. We have over 70,000 graduates. Give me a call, send me an email, but you can link up right to the Eventbrite website and sign up. I'd love to have you in Illinois. If you complete this course, it's all the electives you will need, until you renew your license in 2026. You're done with all the elective, only need 4 hours of core between now and April 30th of 2026. Wow. Take advantage of that. And again, glad you stayed, glad you enjoyed, glad you learned. Thumbs up, enjoy the holiday. I will see all of you in a week. Bye.